All right. Thanks for, making this happen. Uh, Super excited, super stoked to, do this presentation with you guys and make it big. Big shout out to all the people who organized this conference. Let's get started. We are going to discuss about the graph, the open APIs, and how you guys can get the blockchain data, leverage it in a decentralized fashion, and build really cool applications for your own decentralized application. It has definitely every sort of maybe considered paradigm of Web3, let's say DeFi, NFT, social goods, everything has to have the graph as a part of their stack. And that's why I guess it's very important for you guys to get this through. If I would definitely suggest you, if you're watching it live, or you are watching it on YouTube, then you should maybe try to hands-on code with me, because it is going to be very, very quick and very, very easy for you guys. So yeah, let's get started. I'm really excited to be presenting here. Uh, First thing first, what is the graph? The graph is an indexing protocol for querying blockchain data. That means that all the blockchains, they have a complex structure of linked lists which are winded together, and that makes it so super secure and decentralized in a fashion. But how do you get the data which is there inside the blocks into your particular application? It's really, really very challenging, and that's what the graph solves in a decentralized fashion, getting the data from the blockchain and putting it, serving it to your decentralized application in a decentralized fashion. Of course, that's what actually it solves a lot of purposes. We are already live on Ethereum and 21 other EVM chains like Polygon, and some layer 2 like Optimism, Arbitrum, etc. And also we are like, as things move forward, we believe in the internet of blockchains, in the multi-blockchain ecosystem. So we are working on putting some more non-EVM compatible blockchains also into space, and making it a possibility to have data of every blockchain which is trying to serve the purpose of Web3, the next internet, and getting that data in a decentralized fashion to your decentralized application, right? So the first question that always comes in is, why the graph? The graph is a part of the Web3 stack. What that means, if you are building a decentralized application, it needs to have all the things, all the components that it is made of in a decentralized fashion. Otherwise, there is no point of, I guess, using that particular application. What that means is, let's say if you are using getting information from outside inside the blockchain, that also has to be in a trustless, decentralized fashion, and that's why we have something like the Chainlink. Similarly, if you are wanting to get the data from the blockchain to the outside world, then I believe you require something like the graph, which is querying the blockchain in a decentralized fashion. Now let's understand, if you didn't have the graph, then what would have been the case. But if you're not using the graph, then one way you can serve the information to your decentralized application, to your front end, is via having a centralized server, and then storing the information in a centralized place, and then getting the information to your decentralized application, which is again a centralized way, and not in the ethos or not in the spirit of Web3. The other way is that you query every block of the linked list structure, the blockchain structure, and get that information to the decentralized application, which is definitely like super intensive, computer intensive. And I would like, that is the reason, if there will be latencies if you're using that particular approach. And then came the graph, which solves this, that in a way it is a decentralized querying and indexing protocol. So all the data that is served inside the blockchain using something known as subgraph, you are able to get that data, and then serve it to your decentralized application, of course in a decentralized fashion, right? So that's the basic use case, and that's why we call the graph as an essential part of the Web3 stack, right? How does it work? You have smart contracts. Smart contracts are occurring events and have functions, and are serving information to that are stored in the inside the blockchain. If you create subgraphs, that information, whenever an event is triggered inside the smart contract, that information is stored and then put towards the UI using the graph protocol. This is basically the high level function of how it works. Now, like, there is this confusion, and I really want to solve this, having this platform here, is that the graph has currently been following this approach of progressive decentralization. What that means is, first of all, like, there have been certain talks by Yaniv, our super awesome co-founder, about how decentralization should work. It should, like, not just be, okay, you have a white paper and after 3 years you go forward and make a decentralized application go live. It has to be in a progressive way, and that's where, the graph has been coming upon after launching the protocol and, doing things. We had this hosted service going live, which is, you can say, it has a indexer which is getting all the information from smart contracts and serving it to the decentralized application. And there is this one big indexer which is making this particular thing happen. And recently, like very recently, with progressive decentralization, we have launched the graph network, in which you will not have just one big hosted service type of indexers. You will have multiple people in the network which will have delegation, curation, and indexing. So every subgraph will have certain number of indexers, and that will be storing the information and putting it live on and serving that on the decentralized application. Of course, this is all in a decentralized fashion, and there is no single point of failure. So definitely encourage you guys that if you're creating your subgraph now, if you have a DApp and you're planning to launch the DApp, you should first of all use the graph to call it a decentralized application. And secondly, you should use the network, because that's uh, you will not have single point of failures because of a lot of indexers indexing that. Also, you have arbitration if there is wrong information being served and things like that. What we'll be doing today is what we'll be having our subgraph being launched on the hosted service. Like, if you want, I would suggest you to go through some blogs that Nader, our super cool dev, rel posted, uh, of how to deploy a subgraph on the studio and then to the network, right? What we'll be doing today is we'll be posting it on the hosted service. All right. Alrighty. Second thing, there are certain subgraphs already created by some kind of applications, and I would definitely love to give you a review of that. So let's say there is this very cool team, LivePeer, which have their subgraph on the network, and they are using it to serve data. Similarly, we have, like, Uniswap, who have their subgraph deployed on the hosted service, and you can definitely see that being serving the info.uniswap page. If you go through that, you will be able to understand that information being served, or all the data that is this particular page is getting via the graph. Let's just see it live in action. If you see, all the data that it is getting right now is via the graph. uh, GAPH. So all this, data that it is getting right now, see all the api.thegraph.com from its subgraph, it is serving that. So what you can do as a person is, either you create a subgraph for your decentralized application, or if your application requires something related to, let's say, Uniswap subgraph wants to get the information from there, then you just want to use that particular API. So you can definitely go ahead and use it. For example, this particular subgraph already created by Uniswap team, you can just use this API and get the information, make some pretty cool decentralized applications, or make some pretty cool dashboards, or be innovative, make use of the API or the information that the Uniswap team has exposed to you. And again, this is all in an open platform. No, that's why that's all about the graph. This is the basics of what the graph is. Uniswap has already created a subgraph, and they are serving this API. You can use this API. They themselves are using this API for that information that they're serving. Now we'll be moving forward and talking about how to deploy a subgraph on our own, like our own subgraph. So we did this, and the next thing what we'll be doing is maybe talking about deploying our own subgraph. Since we have only 15 minutes, just I'm brushing through the presentation that the graph is currently serving all the major decentralized applications that exist. It has 16,000 plus subgraphs deployed on the hosted service, 20,000 plus active developers, and on the network, as we speak, there are many subgraphs being migrated from the hosted service to the decentralized network, and things are progressing in a very fast manner, or what we call as the Web3 manner, which is quick. So I would encourage you guys to be active on the Graph Discord, and come on, interact with me, be a part of the network, be a part of the ecosystem. You can be a developer, you can also do different roles that exist in the Graph network. All the decentralized major DeFi applications use the Graph. Similarly, NFTs use the Graph, and I already showed you. Now we'll be creating a subgraph, but this time it will not be just a simple subgraph. I'll be using OpenZaplin's library that they have created for the subgraph. You can find the information over here. So using this awesome library, it is very easy to have a basic subgraph created. You might have seen Zaplin being used for some smart contract libraries. Similarly, awesome folks at OpenZaplin have created subgraph library as well to use this very frequently. And so for these basic generic examples like ERC20, ERC721 that these guys have created, you will not have to have your own subgraph created. For example, the ERC20 contract or the ERC721 contract, they have a list. I would definitely suggest you to check this documentation out. You won't have to, for example, ERC20 is done, ERC721 is created. So for all these, basic smart contracts, you will not have to create your own subgraphs. If you wish to, you can, but you can also use the OpenZaplin library and make things quick and possible, and go through it pretty quickly and have your own subgraph deployed in minutes. And that's what we'll be doing. We'll be following this quick tutorial that I created some days back. So let's just, without further ado, let's do a live demo, right? Super excited. I hope you are too. Can't read the comments, but I know you will be. Let's just ls. We'll do the first command. Again, you will have to have graph CLI in your thing. So what you can do is graph npm package. You can use this graph npm package. Do it globally. So every time you are creating a subgraph, you can do things pretty quickly. This is how the CLI works. Moving forward very quickly, I have already used this library. Now I'm going to move a little fast. Moving forward with this graph init on the hosted service, of course, since we are doing this on the hosted service and on the network. Just wanted to remind you guys, let's name the subgraph SmartCon. Cool. Oh, sorry. It's on the hosted service, it has to be first the SmartCon. Cool. And awesome. So this is my GitHub username, and then the subgraph I want to create. The information about this, again, I'll be typing. Might be a little slow because I've got a little hurt. So please, comply with me. Moving forward. Alrighty. Awesome. It's already live. We can just go inside. Cool. I'll just introduce you to the basic packages that the Graph has done for you. Again, the Graph is a developer-focused product. So all the things that we do are in consideration to make the developer's life easy. It's a developer-first approach. So definitely whatever I'm teaching, you can also learn from the awesome doc that the Graph has. Also, there are some community-built documentation like Graph Academy and others, which you can go through for more information. So, all the information will be always available here. Definitely encourage you to check this documentation out. Right now, I'll be using my own GitHub library to do this. Cool. Moving forward. So there are a few template. So this is the template that the graph has created. So you can use this template for creating your own subgraphs. So just giving you a little introduction of what this has for us. There is this is this contracts. It has some contracts inside it. So normally use these contracts for the information you want to serve. For example, if I'm deploying a Uniswap subgraph, I'll have all the smart contracts here, and then having that truffle.js, deploying that thing, having the ABI over here, and then using this ABI for serving the information for me. If you want to create a subgraph, you always need to have the ABIs for having that information being indexed. So please keep that in mind. The contract is not required, but the ABIs are definitely required. Cool. The second thing is the source file. This has the mapping.js file. All right. So the first thing that we have is the YML file. This contains the information, everything that the graph needs to have is over here. It's just, you can say, a basic description of what your subgraph should be, right? And this is actually compressed in the IP and put on the IPFS node, and you get the hash of this particular file. So if you have created a new subgraph with some changes, you'll get a new hash from the IPFS thing going live. So this is the first file. You just define your SmartCon subgraph in this YML file. So this is the first thing. The second thing is that you store the information, so that you need entities, which is the schema.graphql thing. You can see it here, right? This is the schema that Gravatar has right now. So it will be serving those particular fields, for example, ID, owner, and things like that. Gravatar is, by the way, just, you can say something like a to-do smart contract. So what information you want to see, you can see it, from this particular entities. So this is the GraphQL thing. Now, all the information that you get has to be processed, and then only, it has to serve these particular fields. And that's where the mapping.ts file comes. First of all, you generate the information, and then, you want to handle all the events that exist and get the information ready to be posted via the APIs. And for that, you need this particular mapping.ts file created. This is required if, again, you are creating a fresh new decentralized application with the first fresh new mapping.ts file. That's where all this construction work will be required from you guys. You will have to define the entities, you will have to define the mapping.ts file. You have to make sure that all the information you're serving from into the entities have been looked upon and are being taken care of. For example, all the entities that I've defined here, for example, this ID, owner, display, image name, are all being handled over here. If it's a new event, it's taken care of. If it is an old event and you just want to update that, display name, owner, ID, same, you will have to take care of that. And definitely it is some kind of work that you might have to do, some kind of development work. And that's where OpenZaplin has created its own library. And we are going to just see how magically all this extra, the work, developer intensive work, if you are creating an ERC20 or some generic smart contract subgraphs, you will not have to do. Cool. So let's just move forward, keep going. For that, we'll have to have the special library that OpenZaplin has created. Wait, npm install. So this is the library that OpenZaplin people have created that can be used. Cool. So I already have one project, so I can show you how the OpenZaplin library looks. And you can directly utilize that OpenZaplin library without creating your entities or without creating your own mapping files for the certain subgraphs that certain contract that are a part of the library. So if we just go through the this OpenZaplin and see, you can see here there are certain contracts that this OpenZaplin library has, and there are certain subgraphs that this OpenZaplin library has created. As I told you, it already has the mapping.ts file as well as the entities, right? For example, if I have to create an ERC20 entity, they are already defined in this library. You don't have to do anything. Similarly, the mapping file of that entities is also very vastly and very nicely developed by the OpenZappelin team. So super dope thing. You don't have to create or write the code. It saves so much amount of your time, right? If you are creating basically any of these kind of smart contracts, or creating these using these smart contracts for your subgraphs, you can directly use the OpenZappelin library. Cool. Let's hope that we have something here. Oh, it's still going through. Till then, let me just create a subgraph for us. Graph/explorer. So this is the network explorer. We'll be going to the hosted service explorer, right? This is where we go. This is the so this is the hosted service explorer. I go to my dashboard and I want to create a new one. Let's name it SmartCon. Awesome. This is a demo. Cool, all cool. Moving forward, creating the subgraph. Is our library done? Oh, cool. Smooth, right? The library is created. Now we'll just utilize this library. Again, all the information you can get from here. All you have to do right now, and again, it's more magic and so quick to deploy using this ERC, this OpenZappelin library. You'll see how it works like a charm. So yeah, I highly encourage to use this particular library. What you'll have to do is just use the YML file, make some changes in the YML file. I have made some. I'll just copy and paste it here in the YML file. So graph.yml. Neat. That's all I require. I don't require the entities that are here. I don't require them. I can delete that because that's already handled by the library that exists over here by the OpenZappelin team. I don't require even the mapping.ts file. I can go ahead and delete even that. See, magic, right? So magic. What I've done is, instead of creating my own entities, I have taken them from this place. Let's just go there. Node modules, OpenZappelin, subgraphs, and then subgraphs generated ERC20. See here, right? It already has everything that I require, so I don't require the mapping.ts file. Similarly, the Graph QL thing, right? That exists over here. Similarly, the Graph QL thing. See, this is the file that they are talking about. Similarly, the mapping.ts file is handled over here. Cool. Really awesome. See, over here, it's handled. I don't want to have, I will not have to create my own entities. I will not have to create my own, what you call as, I will not have to create my own, mapping files or YML or the entities. They are already created by the team. I just have to utilize them in the YML file that I have already done. Let me just, next step will be, after copying the YML file, just graph code gen. Let's graph code gen. Cool. So that, things are created. Now I will just copy the token and deploy the thing that, where is it? The new subgraph that yeah, this one. Awesome. Oh. Alrighty. Cool. Deployed. Next thing is just, pushing it to the deployment place. So cool. And our ERC20 subgraph is created. See, I don't have to code anything. I just have to make some YML file changes and everything works. This is the magic of using libraries. And this is the magic of subgraphs. Again, developer first approach, documentation, highly, highly recommended. Pranav / I can also copy it from here, /SmartCon. Oh. Let's wait for the deployment to work. Smooth, everything works, and our ERC20 subgraph is created. See, awesome, really nice. All these entities are already, defined in the by the OpenZappelin team in their library that they have created. Again, definitely go ahead and check the repository out. How to best utilize this library. Such a great tool. Already the ERC20 tokens are there in my YML file, whichever exact smart contract I want to actually, look into, has the address. Whichever ERC20 smart contract I want to map, that's already, listed over here. So you are just using their code, not their contracts. The contracts can belong to you yourself, right? This is the, again, beauty of using the libraries and, having this integration possible. I was, without any much of a code, just changing the YML files, I was able to create an ERC20 subgraph, and with my own contract. This is my own contract deployed on the Goldy networks, of course. And if I want, I can query this. See, query this subgraph and get information and put it on the blockchain and make things super neat. Cool. This is how you use the OpenZappelin library to have subgraphs. Again, if you have your own, if your smart contract is not a part of any of these lists, then you will have to create a subgraph which has the YML file. You'll have to define your own entities and have your mapping.ts file and make it work. That's how other decentralized applications have made these things done. But if your smart contract is any of these, then I would highly suggest you to use the OpenZappelin libraries. This is a great way to do things. All right. How much time I have left? Let me just check once. Okay, 3 minutes. Closing thoughts on using the graph. I guess you already now are a champion of using the subgraphs. You can deploy your own subgraphs and make things work. You can use the OpenZappelin library. If you have your own decentralized applications, go create a subgraph. If you are facing any issues, please reach out on Discord. Everybody is very active there, and if you are using if you are creating a decentralized application, then the graph is a must-use stack to get your information from the blockchain to the world. Again, if you have any further questions or you want to hit me up on any further topics related to that, then definitely you can hit me up on Twitter with this is my user ID. I hope you loved the session, and the details of this particular workshop can be found here. Cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Pranav. That's an extremely important part of the ecosystem that I think is just getting started.